Well, here is VOP News Update. I'm Moses Humphrey. The Kano State government has established 3 treatment centers as cases of diphtheria in the state surged beyond 130. The State Commissioner for Health, Dr. Abubakar Yusuf, who disclosed this yesterday, said the state had deployed the necessary mechanisms to curtail the spread of the disease. He disclosed that over 130 persons were admitted last Monday alone as the case continued to rise. Similarly, in Kwara State, the Executive Secretary of the State's Healthcare Development Agency, Dr. Nusirat Elelu, said that the state had extended immunization of children and infants to 388 healthcare facilities in the state to guard against diphtheria and other children diseases, including poliomyelitis. The Federal Capital Territory High Court has dismissed a request by the Department of State Services (DSS) for an extended detention order to keep the suspended governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, in its custody for additional 14 days. The Secret Police picked up Emefiele on June 10, shortly after his suspension by President Tinubu. After being in detention for over a month, the DSS took him before the Federal High Court in Lagos on Tuesday, where he was arraigned on 2 counts of illegal firearms possession. He was granted bail by the court, which ordered that he should be remanded at the Ikoyi facility of the Nigeria Correctional Service, pending the perfection of the bail terms. Rather than allow him to be taken to the correctional center, however, the DSS rearrested him amid a clash with prison officials. 23 women have been kidnapped by bandits in the Damagal district of the Maradun local government area of Zamfara state. It was gathered that the women were in a nearby bush gathering firewood on Wednesday afternoon when the bandits, riding on a motorcycle, swooped in on them, whisking away 23 of them. The villagers lamented that the kidnap was one too many, noting that villagers continue to pay ransom to bandits now and then. Meanwhile, bandits also kidnapped 10 officials of Triacta Construction Company in Talata Mafara and the hometown of former Governor Abdulaziz Yari. The latest attacks came days after bandits killed 7 soldiers during an ambush in Kangon Garachi village of the Maru local government area of Zamfara state. The Federal Road Safety Corps and Nigeria Customs Service have commenced an intensive vehicle database integration of both government agencies. Now, this was contained in a statement jointly signed by the FRSC spokesperson, Bisi Kazim, and Public Relations Officer, NTS, Abdullahi Maywada, yesterday. The collaboration was effected during the official visits of the Acting Controller, NTS, Bashir Adeniyi, to the Corps Marshal, FRSC, Dauda Biu, at the national headquarters of the Commission. Adeniyi emphasized NSC's renewed commitment to working together with the Corps in the area of human resource development, information, and communication technology, as well as sports. He stated, among others, that a handshake and effective consolidation of existing vehicle information in the National Vehicle Identification Scheme database, domiciled with the FRSC and Vehicle Database of the NCS, will curb smuggling, improve revenue generation, and enhance national security. The Corps Marshal, while responding to the Comptroller General, applauded the initiative, stating that the handshake and data service would not only strengthen the bond between the 2 agencies, but also positively impact the fight against smuggling of vehicles. He beckoned on Adeniyi to make an enforcement of restriction of importation of vehicles whose ages are at the point of importation above the specified legal age limit. One of his key priorities while decrying the dangers of using fairly used tires. Bill also seeks enhanced enforcement of the ban on importation of deadly tires into the country. In business, President Vladimir Putin of Russia yesterday pledged closer ties with Nigeria and other African countries, assuring leaders in the continent that the European country was ready to partner African states to develop their energy, information communication, education, and health sectors, among others. Now, this came as Vice President Kashim Shettima said Nigeria would partner with Russia to revive the Aluminium Smelter Company of Nigeria, particularly by engaging the key stakeholders in the industry. They both spoke at the ongoing Russia-Africa Economic and Humanitarian Forum held at the ongoing Russia-Africa Summit in St. Petersburg, Russia. The summit has been attended by several African heads of states, including Shettima, who represented President Bola Tinubu and President Emerson Mnangagwa of Zimbabwe. Shettima is attending the summit with a team of Nigerian delegation. Meanwhile, Putin noted in his opening remarks that the potential for trade and economic cooperation between Russia and African countries was much higher than the trade turnover of $18 billion seen in 2022. He restated his country's commitments to food security in Africa and beyond, stressing that Russia will continue to work towards shaping a more equitable global food distribution system. And in the foreign news, a motorcycle planted with explosives has detonated in a Damascus suburb near a Shia Muslim shrine, killing at least six persons and wounding dozens a day before the solemn holy day of Ashura. Syrian regime health minister Hassan al-Gabash said in a statement that 26 persons wounded in the blast in the Sayyida Zainab neighborhood were being treated at several hospitals. 20 others are treated on site. Regime authorities had initially said the bomb was hidden in a taxi, but later reported that the explosives were on a motorcycle that exploded next to the cab. The Britain-based opposition War Monitor Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said that a woman was among those who died after her 3 children were wounded. The observatory said the explosion occurred close to positions of Iranian militia, a key ally of Syrian regime leader Bashar Assad, alongside Russia in Syria's civil conflict, now in its 13th year. And finally, on news updates, the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup continued yesterday as Argentina fought back from a 2-0 deficit to earn a draw against South Africa in Group G clash at Forsyth Barr Stadium in Dunedin. Argentina and South Africa both entered the match winless in their World Cup history and both faced a potential elimination with a loss. After trailing 2-0 late in the second half, Argentina scored 2 goals in just 5 minutes of action, its first goal of the World Cup, and miraculously came away with a point and kept its hopes of advancing alive. Oh, well, that's the news update on VOP TV. We'd like you to subscribe and engage us on YouTube. It is Voice of the People TV and other social media channels at VOP TV Live. I'm Moses Humphrey.